seek the truth. Got some Disney secrets.
Disney secrets that you didn't know. If you look close, you can see that most scenes from different Disney movies are actually very similar. And that's because drawings were actually made by hand. And the animators only make a few changes to make a new scene. And since Walt Disney wanted to spend most of his time at Disneyland, he actually built a secret apartment on the second floor of the fire station, which is located on the famous avenue that leads you to the park's Central Plaza. And the name of the wizard in Fantasia is actually Yenzin, which is actually the word Disney in reverse. And Blue from Monsters, Inc.'s real name is actually Mary, and that's because the person who plays her is called Mary Gibbs.
Scary facts that will make your skin crawl. BT.6. Phobias are based on how we died in our past life. Maybe that's why we're afraid to do things we never tried, because it's how we died. Experts said that dark areas such as abandoned houses and vacant rooms are the possible places where you can feel the presence of ghosts. So if you're alone right now while reading this post, there is a chance that someone is watching you. If you're awake at night without a reason, then it means that you are awake in someone else's dreams.
That phobia thing. Interesting.
The first one is about finding Nemo. Did you know that Nemo actually translates to nothing or nobody in Latin? And some people think that that's just what he was. He was nothing. After the traumatic attack on his family, Marlin created a fictional son in his mind in order to cope with the loss. So finding Nemo was really just him going through the stages of grief. And that's also why he's so overprotective. And the next one gets even darker. It's about cars.
Whoa.
When you were watching this, you might have noticed that there are no humans anywhere. But humans had to have been there at some point to build the cars, change the motors, and all that kind of stuff. So what happened to them? The theory is that in the future, technological advancements made it possible for cars to think on their own. Which I feel like at this point is not that far of a stretch, you know what I mean? But they didn't want to be controlled by humans anymore. So they ran over all the humans one by one until they took over the world.
Websites you should...
I didn't even think about that with the Cars movie theory, man, because I remember as a kid, I'd be like, well, where the humans at? That I think about it, that theory could actually be true. Our childhood's bad. Get exposed.
Probably remember SAAI.ai. This website allows you to generate custom articles from the clickable button. Once you're on the website, there are 3 separate options. First, input what topic you want to talk about. The second one is you want to select what type of essay you're willing to write. You can choose from all of these options. Third, select how many words you want it to actually be. And finally, you can select which language you want to do. Here's a tip. If you click the undetectable mode, it will make it look like an actual human wrote it, giving you a 0% AI score. Which means teachers or people you're sending this to will think you're the one who actually wrote it, and we can use GPT-0 to check the results of this, and as you can see, bam, here they go.
Life hack.
Good luck with this, and please don't snitch.
Morbid facts.
You know college kids gonna be using that.
In 1987, police responded to Illinois father Russell Dardine's home after he failed to report to work. There they found the dead bodies of his pregnant wife Ruby and their son, who were both victims of a brutal beating. Ruby was beaten so badly that she prematurely went into labor, and even the newborn baby was beaten to death as well. Initially, Keith was the most obvious suspect until his body was found shot dead in a nearby field with his genitals mutilated. Serial killer Tommy Lynn Sells later confessed to the murders but was never formally charged, so the case remains cold. In 1980, John Favera, the neighbor of mafia boss John Gotti, accidentally ran over and killed the mobster's 12-year-old son Frank. Although it was ruled an accident, Favera went missing that same year and was never seen nor heard from again. Former mobster Charles Carneglia later claimed that Favera was abducted, tortured, and slowly dismembered with a chainsaw while he was still alive. His remains were then stuffed inside a barrel filled with concrete and dumped in the ocean.
Man. That's a dark case right there.
Gross habits that are actually good for you.
What?
You probably think burping is rude and disrespectful. Well, that's wrong. Burping actually helps release the air that's trapped inside your lungs. And believe it or not, but if you never burp, you could actually damage your digestive system. Biting your nails might seem nasty at first, but digesting bacteria that's under your nails actually improves your immune system. Studies show that kids who bite their nails are actually less prone to getting sick. Before I tell you the grossest one, I found this app where you can erase anything from your photos, and I mean literally anything. Press the link in my bio, but don't use it for bad. If you shower every day, stop right now. Showering every day could actually damage your skin and your hair, because when you shower, you remove many useful bacteria. So the next time you skip a few showers, just know you're actually being healthy.
48-year-old.
Man, y'all been seeing that thing. I know y'all been seeing the thing with the celebrities, how they be saying how they be taking, some of them, they be saying they don't even be taking showers, or they be showering every other day or something like that. That's like, I don't know about that one, Chief. That one's kind of weird. No, I ain't gonna say God, it is kind of weird. Oh man, what do you guys think about that one?
David Carpenter from Iowa was recently arrested after accidentally shooting his father in the face after the two were arguing about David's stinky feet. He is now awaiting trial. Here are some recent crimes that happened in August of 2024 that caught my attention. This is 25-year-old David Fogel, who was kicked out of a strip club in Tampa, Florida for, quote, inappropriate behavior. Instead of driving home, he drove his truck into a group of people waiting outside the entrance. He injured multiple and took the life of one. He is now awaiting trial and could receive life in prison. A missing persons cold case from 1974 of 34-year-old Doris Wurst and her daughter 4-year-old Karen was recently closed after police received a call of a car located at the bottom of a canal. Inside were the remains of both Doris and Karen. One speculation as to how the two ended up at the bottom of the canal is from CBSNews.com. Quote, the mother and the girl's father were going through a custody battle at the time the mom and the girl went missing. A source said the mom took off with the 4-year-old girl and threatened to take her life and the life of her daughter if she couldn't have custody. Let me know your thoughts.
Normal looking photos that have a disturbing backstory, part 11. The girl wearing the veil is Elizabeth Smart, who was kidnapped for 9 months by the man on the far right. This photo was taken at a party the kidnapper crashed with Elizabeth, and she was forced to wear this veil at all times to keep her from being recognized in public. While this photo may seem like a bunch of astronauts hanging out at the pool and having a great time, it's actually the crew of Apollo 1. They died inside the capsule on the left, unable to escape the fire. This is Chernobyl Elephant's Foot, a massive radiation from the reactor core meltdown. If you hang around it for too long, it becomes deadly, but not nearly as much as in 1986. It's so deadly that they had to use a set of mirrors to take this photograph. This photo was just taken after LBJ became president following the assassination of John F. Kennedy. In the front, you'll see Jackie Kennedy grieving her husband's death. LBJ turned toward his lifelong friend, Texas Congressman Albert Thomas, who gave him a wink and a smile.
Why did he wink and smile?
For people trying to reduce their screen time, there just might be a solution for you. A trend has been going around where people have started using dumb phones. So basically, instead of carrying around your smartphone, people have now started using these things. So the way that it works is that these phones don't have any social media or apps, and you only have access to your contacts for minimal texting and calling. Companies such as Pumped and Light Phones carry these, and they're sold starting at $300. And the entire purpose of this is to get people to stop scrolling on their phone for hours and hours. But what I find very interesting about this concept is that we as people do not have enough self-control to stop ourselves from scrolling for hours on these social media apps, that we have to go ahead and buy another phone so that we can control our addiction. I remember growing up, we had something very similar to this, but not on purpose. We just didn't have the technology that we have now. I literally had one of these as my first phone in grade 8, and I could only text and call, and I swear I had a limit of about 300 texts that I can send in 1 month. So when I went over that, the bill would be much higher and I would get in shit. These things did not have any apps or social media, so we didn't have the issues that we have now. So what do you guys think about this trend? Would you use it?
Here are some
I would try that trend.
coincidences. This lady's phone background is the exact same as the picture on this truck. What are the chances? And the picture on the back of this RV lines up perfectly with the mountains. Now I want to know, did these two guys plan this? Because it spells out Cookie Monster. That cannot be a coincidence. And these two people are wearing opposite colored clothes and opposite color hair. Now they're definitely a perfect match. Now this one's crazy. They're wearing the same jacket, same scarf, and even have the exact same blue hair.
That's like a glitch in the Matrix, man. All those coincidences.
I'm sorry, but what did scientists just create? And how is no one talking about this? Trust me, favorite this video because this is the craziest news of the century. Scientists in Beijing just cloned and brought back dragons. But you might be wondering what I mean by brought back. Well, as it turns out, in early to mid last year, in the mountains of Taimoshan, actual dragon remains were found. Personally, I've waited a long time for this. I am a Targaryen! Using the method of carbon dating, they were approximated to be 15,000 years old. Even the scales were still visible. Now, they quickly acquired the DNA from the dragon remains and proceeded to combine it with the DNA and RNA of lizards that are alive today, such as with the Komodo dragon, with the iguana, and with the bearded dragon. Finally created an actual species of dragon. Now, this was all leaked online by one of the researchers, coming out with emails between the researchers and the government, as well as picture proof. However, this is the part you're gonna go, what? In one of the emails, it was pointed out that one of the dragons that had been combined with a Komodo dragon had developed toxic venom. A venom which we have no cure for because, you know, we created the dragon! This is literally one of the most insane things I've ever spoken about on this channel. So send this to literally anyone you know to completely waste their time. Because I'm pretty sure all of these images are AI generated to fool us into thinking dragons existed. I'm really sorry.
Was this Reddit user actually abducted by aliens? Reddit user Seeker469 said that as a kid, he was spending the night at his aunt and uncle's house, which was out in the sticks in Tennessee. He was sleeping on the couch and woke up due to a bright light coming through the kitchen window into the living room. He was facing the light, which was white and slightly flickering, for about 10 minutes. Then he turned his head as it was keeping him awake. A few more minutes passed and he turned his head back towards the light and was about to go to sleep when he saw a tall, dark figure standing in front of him. He was frozen and could not move or scream. It approached him, reached out, and began tapping on his forehead with what felt like a nail or something pointed. He said that this went on for another few minutes until he must have fallen or was put to sleep. He woke up the next morning to a quiet house. He went to the bathroom and he had a red spot on his forehead. The skin was slightly broken, but there was no blood.
That cat was legit,
As of right
man.
now, this is definitely my top 10, absolutely top 5. It is easily one of the most uniquely effective horror movies. This movie is about a woman named Ella who is a stop-motion animator working with her mother. And when the mother becomes hospitalized, it is up to Ella to finish her mother's vision, which Ella doesn't really want to do. And with the help of this random little girl from down the hallway, Ella tries to create a film like no other. However, when the world of reality and the world of stop motion start to really bleed together, it's going to make you wonder for the entire runtime of the movie, what is real? Now, in my opinion, I absolutely loved this movie. I don't know if the director is a genius or accidentally one, because everything in this movie just somehow works, and it works without answering all of your questions. It is a very dreamlike and ethereal type movie, so from the start, you're kind of questioning about everything, which some people are going to love and some people are really not going to like. And it goes without saying, the stop motion animation in this is perfectly creepy. If you've seen any of the previous works of the director, take the weirdness and tone of that and put it into a movie. Now, as far as like what type of scares to be prepared for in this movie, it's a good mix of a lot of different things. A handful of jump scares here and there, but what it's really effective is when the purpose of the movie is just to solely creep you out. But a warning to the squeamish, there are a couple of body horror scenes that can be kind of rough. They're extraordinarily well done. Just keep that in mind towards the end. Now, stop motion has a very limited run in theaters. Hopefully, there's more showings in the future. But the good news is, stop motion will be streaming on Shudder on May 31st. If you've seen this movie, what do you guys think?
Check that out. Stop motion, man. You guys know I'm kind of into scary movies.
Right, here we go again. A time traveler from the year 2671 has warned us about these dates in 2024. So make sure to favorite this video so we can keep track of these dates and see if they were right.
You got it.
Let's hope they aren't. Let's start with January 23rd, 2024. A message is sent from an underground civilization known as the Splitting World. Essentially, we go under the Earth's crust to discover a whole new world. With a new kind of human, but of course, they want war. For fuck's sake! March 7th, 2024. A mirrored Earth is found inside our solar system and is the exact opposite to Earth. Essentially, yes, it is habitable, but The gravity and physics are completely different. On top of that, plants are red and the water's purple. What? Didn't think it could get weirder? You'd be wrong. Let's talk about April 15th, where SpaceX finds out how to make a spaceship travel the speed of light. However, like everything, this comes with its problems. Because apparently this is when we begin to meet alien life forms, who of course want to steal the light speed engine from us. Finally, we have June 29th, 10 days after my birthday. Mark your calendars. Where 197 mysterious statues appear around the world. One in every single country.
Ooh.
Apparently, we eventually find out that the statues were placed here to track and scare humanity. Mission succeeded. And they release many terrible things. Now, I did my research. I have no idea what terrible things means. Could you be more cryptic? There are literally so many more, so I think I'm going to do a part 2 tomorrow. And do you think any of these will come true? Elon!
No.
Secret safe under her floor.
Because they didn't.
Seriously won't believe what they found inside. One day, Joe and his daughter Rebecca were cleaning out her closet when they discovered a secret safe under the tile. They tried guessing the combination hundreds of times, but they couldn't get it open. Joe even posted on social media asking if anyone knew how to open the safe. And that's when a licensed locksmith saw the serial number and got the combination from the manufacturer. But you won't believe what they found inside. The safe was filled with water, so he grabbed some gloves and pulled out a solid gold coin, and it turns out it's actually worth $180.
These are
What?
some of the strangest graves in the world. In a small village located deep into the Philippines, there's a tribe that has a specific ritual. Every member that passes away is placed in a coffin and then nailed against the side of a mountain. The idea is their souls will be closer to God in the afterlife. And there's thousands of these coffins. And George Thomas was decapitated almost 200 years ago from an accident. And at his gravesite, a statue of him actually holds his head up. It's facing towards him so he can watch over his soul.
Whoa. You know, different people have different customs, man. They wanted to be more close, I guess, to their God, so that's what they did.
Unsolved mysteries. This photo shows all the world's mysteries from the most well-known to the darkest of the dark. In this series, we're going to be going through each category until we reach tier 10, which will apparently ruin my life and change the way we all see the world. So I'm pretty terrified. If you haven't watched the previous 3 parts now, if you have, stick around. Make sure to hit that follow button because stuff is going to get crazy. Today we're going to be looking at the Russian microwaves. Now this sounds really boring and weird, but it is so messed up. Basically, the Russian government started putting up these discs which look like satellite. They don't look like they cause any harm, but they eventually admitted they were using microwave technology and radiation, almost as some kind of weapon. But why? Well, these were actually planted near an American embassy. Lots of CIA operatives were, and spies. And a lot of these people got extremely ill and had to leave their jobs because of this radiation. Well, the theory is the Russian government were doing this on purpose, to get these spies out of the country. What do you think? Why else would they be using microwave weapons?
Another cold case.
I ain't gonna lie, I can't. No, I believe that one, man. You know, people when they be messing with those waves of radiation, man, could truly get you sick. And he said I guess they were like U.S. agents or something, and they were in Russia, so you probably know they wanted to get them out as quickly as possible, but they had to do it in a covert way. It's crazy to think we had that type of level of technology, man.
Case has been solved thanks to advanced DNA testing. Julianne Julie Williams and Laura Lolly Winans were both 24 years old when they went on a camping trip in Shenandoah National Park in Virginia in May 1996. The two had met through a group that organized outdoor adventures, so they were so excited to be going on this trip. They left on May 19th with plans to return on the 28th, and when they did not make it home, their family called the National Park Service to report them missing. Unfortunately, after an extensive search on June 1st, Julie and Lolly were found murdered at their campsite just off the Appalachian Trail. They had been bound and gagged and their throats had been slit, but their case quickly went cold and remained that way for the past 28 years. In 2021, the FBI assigned a new team in Richmond to review the case. The team began retesting evidence and submitted it to a private lab, which was able to pull DNA from several pieces of evidence. And last week, it was announced that the FBI had identified the man responsible for killing Julie and Lolly. DNA retrieved from the evidence was entered into CODIS, and it came back as a match to convicted serial Walter Leo Jackson Sr. Jackson had a lengthy criminal history, including kidnapping and he was also known to visit the Shenandoah National Park. He was most recently sent to prison on multiple charges in 2011, and he ended up dying in prison in March 2018. So unfortunately, he will not have to face justice for what he did to Julie and Lolly.
but at least now their families have answers. FBI has also said that they are continuing to investigate if Jackson can be connected to any other unsolved crimes and are asking for anybody with any information about him to come forward. Both Julie and Molly loved spending time outdoors and were so excited for their camping trip when their lives were so senselessly taken. Rest in peace, Julie and Molly.
Want to hear a
truly eerie case? This is the bizarre disappearance of Brandon Swanson. On May 13th, 2008, Brandon Swanson had just completed his first year at a local technical college where he lived in Marshall, Minnesota. That evening, he and some friends celebrated at a home nearby in Canby. According to friends at the party, Brandon seemed fine when he left the party just after midnight. Brandon was going to make the 30-minute drive back to his parents' home in Marshall. Almost an hour later at 1:15 a.m., Brandon got his car stuck in a ditch. He first called friends for assistance, but they didn't answer, so he called his parents and told them that he was stuck. When asked, he said he wasn't injured, and Brian and Annette, his parents, drove and reached their son's mentioned location to try and find him. But strangely, when they get there, they don't find Brandon nor the car. They get back on the phone with Brandon and begin flashing their headlights. Brandon said he could see a light in the distance and said he would walk towards it. Staying on the phone with his dad during his journey, Brandon told him that he passed some fences and could overhear water flowing in the distance. Shortly after 2:30 a.m., 47 minutes into their phone call, Brandon suddenly shouted, "Oh shit," and then silence. His parents hung up and tried to call back again and again, but there was no answer. His parents continue driving around searching for their son or the car, but can't find anything. The next day, police start their search, and to add to the mystery, investigators looked at Brandon's cell phone records, and it indicated that Brandon was actually 25 miles from where he said he was, in a town called Porter. This led to the discovery of his car in a ditch nearby. In the following months, police and volunteers combed the area on foot, horseback, and all-terrain vehicles. But to this day, Brandon has never been found. Brandon's state of mind has been called into question, but both friends at the party and Brandon's parents said that he seemed fine. Mysterious. Overall, a really sad case for Brandon's family. What are your thoughts?
With the rudest people, according to tourists. Well, before we talk about the rudest countries, the 5 countries that are ranked the friendliest are Portugal, Netherlands, New Zealand, Spain, and at number 1 is Canada. So if you live in any of those countries, good job! However, at number 5 for the rudest country is none other than China. But guys, us Americans aren't too far off because we were ranked as the 6th rudest country. Next, at number 4, travelers say Germany is one of the rudest countries, but Germans claim it's just them being straightforward. Now at number 3 is the UK because tourists say they're a bit passive-aggressive and noisy. However, at number 2 is Russia because visitors say they avoid small talk and generally don't smile much. And finally, at number 1 is France. And France is literally ranked number 1 on almost every single list on the internet.
Here's some crazy history you were not taught in school. Benjamin Franklin was not trusted to write the Declaration of Independence because they thought he'd sneak in some jokes. A 15-year-old Andrew Jackson told a British officer to shine his own shoes. Abraham Lincoln founded the Secret Service hours before he was assassinated. The photographer who snapped Einstein's office after his death bribed his way in with a bottle of scotch. A 12-year-old boy lied about his age to fight in World War I and saw combat at 13 years old before his mom dragged him home. Britain spent 40% of its national budget to free slaves in 1833. The loan wasn't paid off until 2015. Greek statues weren't white. They were once painted in bright colors, but the pigment faded over time. Archaeologists dug up 35 perfectly preserved bottles of cherries and berries from the 1700s at George Washington's estate. Chef Boyardee was drafted in World War II. His factory ran 24/7, making army rations.
This is why you should never explore abandoned buildings. In 2013, 3 boys named Paul, Tim, and Max all lived in Louisiana. There were tons of abandoned houses in their neighborhood left over from Hurricane Katrina, and the boys all loved to explore them. One day, Paul asked his 2 friends to explore an abandoned hospital a few miles out of town. They agreed, and the 3 boys set off. They explored every floor of the hospital except for the basement. But upon walking down to the basement, they discovered that it was flooded with over 4 feet of water. They walked down the stairs and shined their lights on the murky water. It took them to the middle of a hallway, but they couldn't see down either side. Paul thought it would be a good idea to wade down the flooded hallway. His friend stayed back when all of a sudden there was a huge splash. Paul shined his flashlight down the basement and saw a huge creature swimming towards him. His friends began to scream at him, and Paul ran back to the staircase. The three boys escaped the hospital and went home to never return. They believe they heard an alligator, but will never be sure.
Be careful, man. You're exploring.
The trial ended with 2 deadlocked juries, causing the boys to be retried, but during the second trial, the judge didn't allow the boys to use the sexual abuse as a defense. Both brothers were convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder, with both of them receiving life sentences and no possibility of parole. They then didn't see one another for 22 years. Until 2018, they were housed in the same unit, and when they met, they embraced and burst into tears. The child psychologist that works with the brothers claims that the boys are innocent and their father was in fact a monster. A cousin of the boys also states that he remembers Lyle telling him during his childhood that his father was doing things to him that no parent should ever do. Others believe, however, that the boys are simply using any excuse they can, given that they are actually held accountable for their crimes. But ultimately, it's up to you to decide the innocence of...
Scary fact you wish you never knew.
On an American $1 bill, there's an owl in the upper left-hand corner of the 1 encased in the shield, and a spider hidden in the front upper right-hand corner. When someone tells you that they have a question for you, all the bad things you did recently run through your mind. People who don't dream usually have a personality disorder. Typing 444 will turn on TikTok's dark mode. When you suddenly wake up at night, it means someone is watching you. If you out a drop of liquor on a scorpion, it will go mad instantly. Coconuts kill about 150 people each year. Leave a note on a table before you leave the house. If you come back and it's gone, leave the house immediately and call the police. If someone misses you, they are 80% more likely to appear in your dreams. If a person sleeps a lot, they are sad. Someone invented Wi-Fi without having Wi-Fi. How is that possible?
Okay, you was spitting on the last one, bro. I didn't even think about it like that. Somebody made Wi-Fi, but Wi-Fi
Have you guys heard of the man who murdered his mother and threw her body in a dumpster? On June 3rd, 2022, at 6:50 a.m., police found the dismembered body of 62-year-old Tomoko Hoytslin in a dumpster outside of her apartment complex in Camarillo, California. Police went to the apartment complex after receiving a call about suspicious circumstances, and that's when they found the body of Tomoko. After obtaining a search warrant, Tomoko's son, 25-year-old David, barricaded himself in the apartment that he lived in with his mother, but police were able to get in and arrest him for her murder. Investigators found evidence linking him to the murder, but at this point, we don't really know what that evidence is. And the county medical examiner officers confirmed that Tomoko was strangled to death, but the motive is still not clear. David is being held on a $3 million bond, and if he's convicted, he faces 25 years to life in prison.
Mysterious videos that can't be explained. This security cam footage from a library taken at 5:30 in the morning shows something kind of confusing. Out of nowhere, a book from the shelf seems to just fall over on its own and lands perfectly on its side. The library is closed and nobody's inside of it. But somehow one book was perfectly pulled out from the shelf and landed so that it balanced on the side of its pages. It would be next to impossible to pull out one book from the shelf without disturbing the others. And when the librarians tried to balance the same book on its side, they couldn't do it. What do you guys think happened to this book? Comment below. Next we have this dude from Florida who wanted to film himself practicing his golf swings to try and get better. But as he picks up the camera to stop the video, he catches a lamp swinging somehow by itself over his dining room table. The man freaks out, and it's pretty apparent that he's not doing this. He then pans to the side and catches his cupboards opening and closing. Is this proof of ghosts?
Dirty animal facts that biology class definitely didn't teach you. Part 1. Diego. The unstoppable sex tortoise, who is 100 years old, lives on the Galapagos archipelago and has fathered over 800 tortoises.
Damn.
When a male anglerfish meets a female, he fuses with her body, donating his brain, heart, and eyes, pretty much becoming a pair of testicles dangling from her body. Hey now, nice testes. In 1912, biologists had to cover up the first published studies of penguins after observing them being the literal worst. Male-on-male penguin action. Male on dead penguin action. Male on unwilling female penguin action. Oh, and action in exchange for pebbles. If Finding Nemo was scientifically accurate, Marlin would have just changed into a female clownfish and mated with Nemo after his mother's death. Oh, and, fish don't talk, but more importantly, the whole changing into a...
What the heck? Why you had to rule that childhood like that, man, about the Nemo fact? Never knew that, man. Gives a whole new meaning, man, to Finding Nemo, the movie.
This may be one of the scariest urban legends I've ever heard that actually turned out to be true. So during the 1970s, there was a terrifying funhouse in Long Beach, California called the Laugh in the Dark. And this urban legend began circulating that all the mannequins inside were fake except for one. Something about this mannequin just seemed wrong. All the others looked fake, but this one in particular, they say it looked a little too human. A bunch of kids even said the area around the mannequin had a terrible smell. This next part is where I poop my pants. So a few years go by, and then one day a TV crew comes to use Laugh in the Dark as one of their filming locations. The director is trying to line up the perfect shot, but he just doesn't like the way this one mannequin looked on camera. So he asks one of the crew members to move it out of the way. So the crew member goes over, starts moving the mannequin when the arm completely falls off. Inside the mannequin's arm is human bone. The kids were right all along. The mannequin was a mummified corpse.
This man claims he found a portal to another dimension in Washington. Part 2. Sorry for the wait. The next day, the dog was found outside the hole, alive. Amazed by what happened, Mel went onto a radio talk show to talk about the strange hole. Within 24 hours, Mel claims the military seized his land where the hole was and told him to never talk about it again. Even in public satellite images, his land appeared to be covered. But here is the twist. People who investigated his story found no public records of anyone named Mel Waters. And a geologist named Jack Powell came forward saying a hole that deep could not physically exist since it would collapse on itself from the pressure. He even said he knew where Mel's hole was and took a camera crew to it. According to him, Mel's hole was nothing more than an abandoned mine shaft that was less than 10,000 feet deep. But who do you...
I don't know, man. Now the government's known for covering things up, so...
This woman left her daughter
Seems
alone with 6 hungry pit bulls. But when she came home, she saw a scene that shocked the entire world. Stephanie is only 4 years old and has loved animals since she was very little. One day, her mother Mary decided to adopt 6 adorable pit bulls as a birthday present for her daughter. Despite the stereotypes about these dogs, everything was going well until the unthinkable happened. One night, Mary needed to go to the supermarket to buy some things she needed to make dinner, and she had to rush to the store before it closed. She quickly got dressed and went to the supermarket. She went to the backyard and made sure that her dogs were locked in the cage for the safety of her daughter, who would be alone for a few minutes. She thought it would only take a few minutes, and that Stephanie would do fine on her own, but her daughter had a terrible idea. She opened the cage to feed the pit bulls by herself, and when the mother returned home half an hour later, the scene was incredible. Mary was speechless when she discovered the 6 pit bulls surrounding her daughter Stephanie. But when she saw what they did to her daughter, she was in despair and started crying a lot. She couldn't believe what was happening. Comment Pitbull to see what happened.
Disturbing history facts that school did not teach you. During medieval times, some women would shove live fish inside their bodies, if you know what I mean, and wait until the fish died inside them before cooking and serving it to their husbands. It was believed that this would increase their husband's love for them. Mother Teresa encouraged sick patients to suffer, but went straight to the hospital when she was ill. She is regarded by many as a saint for her dedication to helping the poor and sick in India. She believed suffering was a gift from God and encouraged her patients to accept it as a way to get closer to Jesus. However, when she herself fell ill with heart problems, she chose to get treated in modern hospitals. Charlie Chaplin met his future wife when she was 12 and he was 31. They first crossed paths on the set of the movie The Kid in 1920. 4 years later, due to Letta Gray's pregnancy, they got married when she was only 16 years old. Their turbulent union eventually resulted in one of the most expensive divorces of their time.
She fell in love with her daughter and married her.
What?
This is Stephanie from Oklahoma, and I wasn't even looking for this story. I was researching something else, and I came across this, and I was like, clicking that link. So Stephanie lost custody of her kids when they were younger, and their paternal grandmother took over. Later, she got back into her kid's life. And then she says her and her daughter just hit it off. And this was after she married her son in 2008 and then got it annulled in 2010. She said that wasn't a actual, with an S, relationship. She just married him to get him out of the military. Don't understand how this works, but that's what she said. Now this son right here says he tried that mess with her, but he wasn't going for it. He denied her advances. DHS got involved. She was 44 here and she was 26, so I don't understand how this worked with the DHS. I don't know if there was a child in the home or what, but DHS got involved and they were charged with sex. They are now divorced. Well, the marriage has been annulled. Oh, and the mother says she feels like she didn't do nothing wrong because her name wasn't on her daughter's birth certificate. Honey, it's in the blood.
Now I know for a fact that I'm not the only one scared that sharks are going to be in my pool, right? Like, it's the most irrational fear ever, but I cannot go in a pool by myself or without, like, a bunch of different people in the pool at the same time because I'm scared of this happening, a freaking shark being in there. I don't know why. Like, I'm just so convinced that a trap door is going to open down there and a shark's going to swim out and it's going to eat me. I don't know why. Why? Am I the only one? Am I the only one? I can't be. Like, all of these photos are fake, by the way. They're all, like, AI or Photoshopped. This, no. Someone sent me this video and I just had to screenshot it because what? AI has gone too far. This is nightmare fuel. This is just, I hate it. I know that it's fake. I know that it's AI, but that doesn't stop me from having nightmares about it. Like, this AI girly is more brave than I'll ever be because what? Watch this Photoshopped or AI video that I'm about to show and how does it make you feel? And also tell me that I'm not the only one. I need to be validated for this, please.
Check it out. He went right into his damn... Nah, bro. Like, imagine going to a pool and you see a whole shark.
Leah Roberts vanished without a trace on March 23rd of the year 2000. She was 23 years old, and after leaving a restaurant in Bellingham, Washington, she just vanished in thin air. She had driven there all the way from Durham, North Carolina, and she'd been staying there for 4 days. Later on, her vehicle was found crashed and deserted in North Cascades National Park. And finding her car happened years after her disappearance. Upon going over the car and searching it, investigators found a lot of tampering in the car's engine. Authorities suggested that the vehicle has been purposely tampered with. There was footage of her entering a gas station and she looked to be in good condition and she was alone. But the weird thing about the footage, she keeps peering outside as if somebody's following her, if she's paranoid that somebody's watching her. Days before this, she withdrew almost everything from her bank account. Until this day, Leah Roberts' disappearance is still a mystery and it is still unsolved. She had gone through a lot of trauma though, so people think she just kind of went off-grid. She lost both of her parents in a very short span of time. She was a very bright student in North Carolina, but she dropped out of college a semester before she graduated to go soul-searching. And once again, many think this is because of the trauma of losing her parents. But because she's alone, somebody well could have abducted her and taken her hostage. Scary thing about these cases, we might never know what happened. Let me know what you guys think about Leah Roberts' case in the comment section below, and as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
So much has happened in the past 24 hours, it's insane. Trump announced that US residency is now officially up for sale. They unveiled this brand new visa program which has never been done before, called the Gold Card. It allows you to work in the US, gives you a route to citizenship, and it costs $5 million. Trump says that it will bring in wealthy, world-class global citizens. Next, Chile declared a state of emergency last night after a blackout plunged almost 19 million people into complete darkness. It affected almost the entire country. Hospitals, prisons, and government buildings were switched to backup generators. The internet and mobile phone services went down. You couldn't withdraw cash. National Guard forces were deployed onto the streets. And a curfew from 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. was put in place. Next, Trump signed a price transparency executive order, which forces hospitals and health insurers to disclose healthcare cost details, and not estimates, but actual prices. Next, phone theft in the UK has got so bad that the government has given police new powers to enter properties without a warrant if tracking apps like Find My see that stolen devices are inside. In fact, this is just one of a whole package of new laws passed by the British government in order to tackle the country's knife crime, shop theft, antisocial behavior, cybercrime, etc. It's become one of the biggest legislative updates for policing in decades. Next, more than 250,000 Canadians have signed a parliamentary petition to try and revoke Elon Musk's citizenship and passport. If you didn't know, Elon is a triple citizen of South Africa, the United States, and Canada. Next, a mystery illness in the Congo is more than 50 people only hours after they began feeling sick. The Africa office for the WHO said that the outbreak began after 3 children ate a bat and died within 48 hours. CNN report that the still unknown illness has symptoms which are commonly linked to known deadly viruses such as Ebola, dengue, Marburg, and yellow fever, but that researchers have ruled these out based on tests of more than a dozen samples they've collected so far. Next, and lastly, you ever wondered what happens if someone dies on a plane but you're still halfway there? Yesterday, on a Qatar Airlines flight, a woman collapsed in the aisle and died. Cabin crew tried to move her body towards business class, but, quote, she was quite a large lady and they couldn't get her through the aisle. So instead, they had to place her corpse, covered in blankets, next to this couple from Australia for the remaining 4 hours of the flight. As always, I'll keep you guys updated.
A cold case?
Imagine, man, you on a plane and you sit next to a person, man, that just left this world for 4 hours. What would be going through your head, man? I ain't gonna lie, I be like, that's freaking trauma, bro. That airplane company something. Got to, man. I have to give up something, man. Because I ain't sit next to a person who just left this world. That's just, I can't do that.
From New York has recently been reopened after remains were found more than 40 years after the victim disappeared. This is 25-year-old Karen Ramsey, and it is believed that she disappeared from Paterson, New York in May 1980. While police have looked for a missing persons report on Karen, it has been difficult to determine if one was even ever filed. But on April 16th, 2024, almost exactly 44 years later, her body was found wrapped in plastic under concrete about 8 miles from her home. Her remains were found during excavation work for a new home in a heavily wooded area in Paterson. According to a neighbor, clothing and tape were found with her remains. DNA evidence identified the remains as belonging to Karen Ramsey on June 7th, but at this point, it is unclear where the sample came from to test against. Karen had been living in a condo complex in Brewster, New York with her husband John Ramsey before she disappeared. She had married John a few years after high school after they met working in the same building. At the time they had met, John was married to another woman, but they fell in love, he got divorced, and married Karen. In October 1977, the couple purchased a condo with both of their signatures appearing on a document when they purchased it. And then on September 28, 1981, their signatures both appear again on the sale of the condo. But this was more than a year after police believed Karen disappeared. And the Karen Ramsey signature on the documents do not look very similar. The document was notarized on August 17th for the sale, but the notary has since died, so they can't be questioned. According to court records, John Ramsey sued his wife for divorce in August 1980, and he also took out a legal notice around that time, claiming that his wife abandoned him and their infant. John Ramsey died in 2022, and according to his obituary, he married a woman in October 1981, just days after Karen's signature was on the condo sales papers. Karen Ramsey's death has been ruled a homicide, but her cause of death has not been made public. But the investigation into her death is ongoing, and police are trying to determine what happened to her. But right now, it's just an investigation because there have been no real leads. Apart from the fact that her signature on the purchase and sale of the condo do look different. But this doesn't prove anything, and other than that, they haven't really gone anywhere. But this investigation is honestly just getting started as her body was just identified last month. So hopefully Karen will get the justice she deserves. Rest in peace, Karen.
Rest in peace, man. Justice for Karen. That case had twists and turns.
If you just won 30 mil and your mom's left eye surgery cost 29 mil, what you doing? We've got eyes at home. Now this is creative. I can definitely do Patrick's. That's facts. Email from HR. Your request for time off has been denied. Me on my flight, I didn't ask. I was just making sure you were aware I'm on vacation. If your boss dresses like this, you're not getting replaced by AI. If your lawyer comes in like that, you're going to jail. Roommate just said, I can't believe we've never had to buy trash bags. My roommate asked me why the cleaning lady didn't come this week. The week I did. First day at the job, I'm nervous AF. Bro is not getting paid. Okay, serious question. What's this for? We call it the old... Tucson Cartier necklace worn by Daphne Kluger for the Met Gala, valued at over $100 million. Purely hypothetical, how could you sell a $150 million necklace? Facebook Marketplace. Next question.
Oh, man.
What if I told you the mother behind me was feeding her sons to cannibals? Behind me is Klara Maurova. She's from the Czech Republic, and she had two sons, Jacob and Andrej. Her and her sister were part of this weird cult called the Grail movement. They believed by doing good deeds that they would go to heaven. Now here's where it gets dangerous. This cult also believed that they were free to commit any crimes they wanted to, and nothing would affect them. And they were also cannibals. Things now got even stranger when her sister showed up with an adopted Norwegian child named Anika. She was 13 years old. Some people believe she was actually 30 and posing as a child. She was in a trafficking ring and had a lot of sympathy for her. Soon, Klara started to forget about her sons and started thinking about adopting Anika as her own. That's when this weird doctor started emailing and texting her out of nowhere. He claimed to be Anika's physician. She met up with him, he showed her her medical records, he gained her trust. The doctor said to Klara that you cannot adopt Anika because her sons are so mean to her. This was the doctor's plan all along as a cult leader. Do you guys remember that cult I was talking about at the beginning of the video? The doctor is like the head of this cult. He said to fix this, she needs to beat her boys as much as she can, for every little thing, and she fell for it. This was to cure their evil spirits. The doctor said these treatments are not working now. You need to take them to a cottage very far off from everyone else. She met up there. There were several people there, including her sister and Anika's brother. The boys were put in cages and tortured in every single way you could think possible. People there started to skin the boys and eat their flesh. They also made the boys eat their own flesh as well. And Anika, the 13-year-old, she kept saying the boys were still being mean to her to continue this abusive cycle. She was also part of that cult, and she was not 13. The whole cottage shock therapy ended and they went back home. The boys were treated the exact same back home though by their mother Klara. They were put in a cellar and locked up in there. Anika was living life in a room with a ton of toys and got everything she wanted. She was basically manipulating Klara this entire time. Now here's the way that she got caught, and it is crazy. Her neighbor was setting up a baby monitor for his newborn baby. Now back in like the early 2000s, if you had a baby monitor nearby, it could pick up that signal and you could see what's in there. It could jam a little bit. He managed to see these boys tied up in cages in her basement. Could you imagine the horrifying look he had on his face seeing this? And he did what every good person would do. He called the police immediately to get them some help. The police came and everybody was arrested. Klara, her sister, and Anika. And it turns out Anika was a 33-year-old woman. Her real name was Barbara Sklorova. This is a picture of Barbara Sklorova right here, aka Anika, and she was the basis for the movie Orphan. In case the story is sounding familiar, it's basically Orphan. The doctor was actually the father of that girl Anika, aka Barbara. And Klara's sister was in on this cult the entire time and manipulated her. They all got about 5 to 10 years in prison.
Happiest man on death row, and his story will make you cry. In 1936, a 23-year-old man was arrested for sleeping in an illegal area. But Joe was a mentally disabled homeless man, and he really didn't know what was going on. So he went with the officers anyway. But what Joe didn't know is that those officers are about to change his life forever. 12 days earlier, 2 twin girls were actually murdered by a guy with a hatchet. And since the officers had no idea who it was, they decided to pin the attack on Joe. And since Joe was mentally challenged, they made him confess to the crimes without actually knowing what he did. And the victims even said that Joe looked nothing like the man. But Joe ended up taking the fall for the crime that he didn't even commit. But on death row, Joe was extremely happy and every single person in there loved him. And right here you can see him giving away his trains right before he was executed. Joe requested ice cream for his last meal and his last words were, "No, Joe will not die."
That is messed up, man. I wonder how many cases throughout history, man, somebody had to just take the fall because law enforcement, something like that, they couldn't do their job, so they just pinned it on him. That's a messed up story, Seekers.
Crazy facts about cigarettes. 1 cigarette can reduce your lifespan up to 11 minutes. Out of 10 smokers, 9 started before age 18. A smoker's life expectancy is 10 years less than a non-smoker. When a cigarette is burned, 7,000 chemicals are activated. Nauru has the highest smoking rate at 52%.
If you see this in the ocean, walk away immediately. This is a whirlpool in the ocean, and they are one of the most scariest things that can happen in the ocean. Whirlpools are basically like inverse tornadoes, and they will suck you up in less than 17 seconds. Why do they happen? Well, whirlpools form when the currents of the ocean collide in opposite directions. the force of the two currents spiraled down into the ocean, which forms the whirlpool. Here is a demonstration of what happens inside a whirlpool. As you can see, the toilet paper is rapidly pulled into the water from the whirlpool. If you're in a boat in the ocean and you see a large-scale whirlpool, it could pull your boat in and flip it over, and you will be pulled under the water where you will be stuck and likely drown. Although we think of whirlpools mostly being in the ocean, they can appear in any body of water. So next time you're out in water, be on the lookout for one of these, or it could cost you your life.
Okay. Updating our whirlpool knowledge.
Did you know that they might have just found one of the gates to hell? This is the deepest man-made hole on the planet. It goes 7.5 miles down, and it took 19 years to dig. And many strange things have been discovered during the dig. But the craziest thing was when they lowered a microphone down the hole, and they caught this on audio. Many people think the hole penetrated one of the gates to hell, and that's what allowed the screams of the dead to be heard. And what's super interesting about this video is so many people who have visions of hell say that they get taken into...
The Words of Dying, Part 1. A number of people. Dog attack 1 in 86,781. Drowning 1 in 1,128. Falling over 1 in 106. Preventable causes of death 1 in 24. Cancer 1 in 7.
Man. That story about that hole, bro. We gotta be careful, man. It seems like it was deliberate. Like, why did they keep going deeper and deeper, man? We heard the audio too, so you just can't dismiss it. Something going on down there.
Creepiest urban legend from each country. Canada. Wendigo.
Oh.
England. Bloody Mary.
Did you know
That
that
makes
Cardi
sense.
B said that her music activates demons? Watch this.
I didn't want to do this song, Shake It, or like any drill song, because it's like these songs are activating like these demons.
If you believe Jesus is more powerful than the devil, then type Jesus is Lord in the comments and subscribe for more. And watch the video that I pinned about Billie Eilish showing her demon.
Things almost.
Hey man, we've been watching these clips together for a minute, so we know that some things be going down in the music industry, and this, I guess, that Hollywood side entertainment, man. So we know some things be going on, but she said it, bro. They activating demons. I'm telling you, man, we gotta be careful what we listening to, see, cause we never know what type of energy we allowing into our lives. That don't even shock me no more, man.
What's no humans can do? I'm not sure, and if you can, then you're bloody weird. This is where you bend your thumb back onto your hand like that. Only 1% of humans can actually do this.
I can't do
Try
it.
this video if you can do it.
North Korea are actually doing it. Today, they have officially begun blowing up all roads and railways connecting them to South Korea. And this really marks a pretty substantial turning point, because for the longest time, reunification of the two countries has always been the stated goal for Kim Jong-un. But this year, everything changed. He changed the constitution to designate them as principal enemy. They obviously had their trash balloon wars. We saw that they started building a wall by the border, and now they're literally blowing up all inter-Korean roads and railways to completely separate the two countries.
Gruesome facts you didn't know.
That's insane.
In the year 2000, the Trapholt Museum in Denmark featured an art piece titled Helena and El Pescador. The art piece featured 10 functional blenders filled with goldfish, giving the visitors the gruesome option of turning them on. It was a battle of the viewer's own conscience, and at least one man turned on a blender, killing 2 of the fish. In 2007, a movie theater in the US accidentally screened The Hills Have Eyes 2 instead of The Last Mimsy. The opening scene horrifically shows a naked chained up woman giving birth to a deformed baby. Children were traumatized and parents were offered free tickets as compensation. The Aldgate Pump in London was a long-time public watering hole that tapped into London's underground streams since the 1200s. In 1860, the water was noted as being bright, sparkling, and with a fine taste. Turned out that the taste was due to the underground stream running through several graveyards. The water had been collecting decaying organic matter and calcium from the bones of the dead. This resulted in the deaths of hundreds of people.
That story about the theaters playing that
Three
scary
animals
movie.
you are glad are extinct,
Crazy.
and the last one, it will shock you. Number 1, the Titanoba. This massive snake gets up to 50 feet long and can weigh up to 2,500 pounds. During its time, it was the apex predator, and it would strangle every single one of the animals to death. Number 2, the Deinosuchus. This mega crocodile can weigh up to 10,000 pounds, and it can get up to 39 feet long. T-Rex bones were found with bite marks from this animal, meaning often they would battle it out. But before I tell you the most terrifying one, if you want to get paid just for walking, I got you. Because this app pays you for every step you take, and I've already earned 100 today. So press right here and start earning. Number 3 is the Ratzilla. Based on the fossils that were found, they could get up to 10 feet long, and some of them were about the size of a bowl. And their teeth were up to 1 foot long. Can you imagine if one of these suckers bit you? Thankfully, all these animals went extinct a long time ago, but they're all super terrifying, so I'm happy.
Be thankful, man, for evolution sometimes, because those animals.
Fun fact. In 2015, the US federal government seized around $5 billion in assets from citizens, and in that same year, criminals only stole around $3.5 billion in assets. The US federal government also seized more assets in 2014 and 2019 than criminals stole. This is due to the Civil Asset Forfeiture Reform Act, which was meant to break up the flow of cash and assets to drug cartels, but has essentially given the police a license to steal. It says if the police believe assets in your possession, whether it be cash, real estate, cars, or an iPad, was involved in or was acquired through criminal activity, they have the right to seize it, and then you need to prove to them that you got it legally. The craziest part is they don't even have to charge you with a crime to take your stuff. In 2021, a drug-sniffing dog at a Dallas airport found $100,000 in cash in a woman's suitcase, and the police seized the cash, but didn't charge the woman with any crime, saying she could get it back in court. But this was a rare case. Most cash seizures are under $1,000, but the cost to fight a seizure in court is usually much higher.
Man, so they just run it around. Like, imagine if you had, like, that money legally, you take it out the bank, but, like, they took it anyway, then you have to prove to them in court. That's crazy, man, how they freaking took away all that damn money, bro. Billions of dollars, man. The system, man. It's up. It's a ongoing battle. That's an edit, man. Call them out like we see them. I see you guys calling out the edits in the comments down below too. I appreciate that as well. We're getting better at spotting them out each and every single video. I feel like we're
This
at
is
the
the face
expert
of a
level.
threat to national security. This otter's a fugitive of the law for the crime of boardjacking surfers in the ocean and then using them as chew toys. See, you're laughing. You're laughing now, because I said otters and you think it's cute, but imagine getting pressed by a predatory plush toy with a vice grip for a mouth. And how do we even get here? With everything I've said, sea otters are naturally afraid of people who go out of their way to avoid us. So the story goes, an otter named 723 was found abandoned and orphaned, but was rescued, rehabilitated, and released back into the wild. Here's the problem though, pretty privileged. As in, people kept feeding 723 repeatedly to the point where the same otter that should have been people shy was now going up to people looking for handouts. Eventually 723 was recaptured, and this time they found that people weren't the only ones interested in her, because she was pregnant and she would give birth to daughter 841. But this time the caretakers learned, basically dressing like they just raided Darth Vader's closet, poncho masks and all. Also, 841 wouldn't lose her fear of humans. It didn't work. Literally less than a year after being released, there were reports of an otter going up to surfers and climbing on surfboards. That's right, it was someone's disobedient ass daughter. And 841 would attack surfboards like they owed her money. Like, you see that bite? That's a bite of malice. Remember, this is the same animal that can bite through a clam. 841 was a menace in 2023, but eventually the surfboard assault stopped until she popped out again this year, this time with a hell spawn of her own. Yep, she has a kid, meaning this surfboard beef's guaranteed another generation. Especially since there have been several attempts to capture her, but there's nothing about an outlaw otter that's easy. She's on the run and swim. But yeah, when people tell you not to feed wild animals, this is exactly why. I swear y'all play house with a wild animal, but then be Pikachu in the face when they start wilding. Also, and I'm telling y'all right now, she bites one person, she's getting put on her shirt expeditiously. Moral of the story, the worst thing a wild animal can do is lose its fear of humans. That in Santa Cruz is harboring a weapon of utter destruction. You
have to
That's
hear
crazy,
this.
man.
A
Auto
man
attack.
who lives inside of a cemetery actually saw the Grim Reaper. He said that he was in his house watching TV at about 3 o'clock in the morning when he heard a huge crash outside.
Oh my
Soon
gosh.
after he heard sirens. And
Yeah, I decided to step out and see what was happening. I walked through the graveyard like a dumbass.
Cars,
Damn, my bad.
firefighters, and an ambulance arriving. He walked through the
I wish he
cemetery
would've tagged me
to
in
get a
this
better
shit.
view of what was going on. As he looked down from the top of the hill, he saw that it was a horrific car accident, a head-on collision between 2 cars, during which one of the drivers actually died at the scene.
You got it closer to exactly what I said to the other guy, but you left out the part where I scared the cop.
But then, all of a sudden,
And
he
when
heard
I
something
jumped in
drop
with
down
Amber,
from the tree beside
pulled the
him.
covers
He
up over
turned
my
around
head.
to see what it was, and standing right in front of him was a strange, gray, faceless, humanoid figure. His heart jumped up into his throat, and he abruptly beelined it back home. He continued to hear this creature
Oh, he looked
behind
like
him, but he never
sort of
looked back.
dumbass.
He got home and immediately locked the doors.
What would you do in this situation?
Is the Grim
so
Reaper
this
real?
person was in a hotel room one night with their door locked, keep in mind. And this random person was trying to break into their room using this tool that is specifically designed to break into people's rooms. And this is why you should always put a towel on your door handle. I promise you, it could save your life. Here's the video.
Reason why I don't use
I gotta try to find it.
restroom.
No public bathrooms could be hiding a deadly secret in plain sight. Recently, investigators in California discovered a shocking trend. People getting seriously ill or worse after using public restroom toilet paper. The reason drug users are reportedly going into these bathrooms, using needles and then cleaning them off by sticking them into the sides of the toilet paper rolls. This contaminates the toilet paper with blood, drug residue, and other harmful substances, all hidden from view when unsuspecting people grab the toilet paper. They're unknowingly exposed to the dangerous contaminants. As the puncture marks are often concealed by the toilet paper casing, specialists now recommend using toilet seat covers instead of the provided toilet paper in public restrooms for safety. The punctures are subtle often on the side, making them impossible to see at a glance. It's a hidden hazard no one expects.
Top 5 of the skip.
That has to be one of the most scariest things, man, that can happen. Like, imagine you just trying to use the bathroom and you come back home sick or something like that. You don't know what's going on because somebody stuck a needle in the side of the toilet paper. Man, now I'm buying toilet freaking covers after this video, bro. So what about? I'm ready, man. That ain't happening to me. Be careful out there.
I bet you can't make it to the end of the video. The last one is scary. Number 5. 3 friends were playing guitar and singing in their room. You know, just having a good time. When something scary appears in the balcony door window. You can see a white figure appear quickly and disappear once the camera pans back.
What do you say?
Woo! Spicy. Hey, maybe you just like the music. Wanted to do a little dance. Get a little boogie. Get it? Boogie, boo. Please don't unfollow me. Before we get to the next one, can you hit that like button for me? If you get 100,000 hearts, I'll do a part 3. Number 4. A man wakes up to hearing strange noises in his house. When he goes to turn on the lights to see what it is, they seem to not be working. Watch what he sees next.
What the?
Tired of these ghosts messing with electricity when they do not pay bills. Do you know how
Speak
much
about
an
it.
electric bill is right now? Pay up or get out. Okay, check this out. You're alone in the middle of the night, and you're in a hotel when this happens.
What the hell is that? Somebody's trying to come in the damn room?
What's your next move? Let me know down below. Number 3, on the 30th of April, 2022 at 2 a.m., a security camera captured this. Some believe it's a creature dragging a bag, while others believe it's someone walking backward.
A short while after, the security camera catches this. It's the same figure. What do you think this creature is? Number 2, the little girl is in the kitchen alone, and it looks like she's talking to someone. The home security camera captures this.
It's like fighting or something?
So now they're not paying bills and trying to take our food? This is the last straw. Hello, Ghostbusters. A woman and her child is seeing something in the window, but every time she goes to open it, nothing appears to be there. Watch what happens next. Yeah, it got in the house, and they didn't even realize. Should I do a part 3?
They didn't see, that person didn't feel that freaking like thing behind them. I don't know, the last one got me questioning it. It was cap or real. Cause I can feel when somebody's like behind me. I don't even feel somebody's presence.
On the wall where he had just covered up.
Okay, he covered up the wall.
Scariest mythical creatures in the world. From Japan. Tick tick.
Tick tick.
From Puerto Rico. Chupacabra.
Chupacabra. I thought they originated from here.
From the ocean.
Mermaid.
CTHULU.
I don't know how to pronounce the name, but I've been seeing a couple of videos on that.
From Arizona. Skinwalker.
You know, you've seen a couple of Skinwalker clips.
From the ocean. Mermaid.
I called it. I knew that had to be on one of them, man.
From Canada. Wendigo.
Interesting.
The name of the game is the Other Mother. You should win this game. No one will ever lie to you again. At least they can't. Play this game. Go in front of your mirror with a lit candle. On the mirror, Other Mother. After doing this, cover your eyes. Do not look in the mirror, because now you summon the Other Mother, also known as Mother May I. We'll ask you to do 5 things, but before you do it, make sure you say Mother May I. Say comb your hair. She'll ask you to brush your teeth. She'll then tell you to have dinner with her. And then she'll tell you to go to bed. Whenever she asks you to do any of these, make sure you say Mother May I before you do it. So I go live and play this game. Heart this video, follow my account.
I never played any of those games. You ain't getting me.
Everyone is going crazy after people communicate in a dream for the first time ever.
What?
A company called REM Space has designed this technology to allow you to communicate during a dream. Now, 2 people were both put into a lucid dream by scientists, and they were able to communicate fully inside this dream. But how? So both of the people were in bed at their own homes, and they were both synced up to this crazy tech that this company has. Now, when one of them went to sleep and entered the lucid dream, the computer generated a word and then put the other person into a lucid dream. They both then woke up, they confirmed the same word, of course, meaning that the first person had communicated that word to the other person because there's no other way they would have known it, showing, of course, that you can communicate during a dream. Now, of course, this is only early days with this technology, but the fact that this was possible is crazy. And the people who developed it said this is going to open a whole new gateway of businesses and companies who will be able to sell things for the dream world, probably including games, multiplayer games and stuff. Like, honestly, it's mental. We're one step closer. This is going to get a lot crazier. I'll keep you updated.
This film might have one
I don't
of the
think
most
that's a good idea.
crazy endings you'll see throughout the entire year. What? So I'm fresh. I've Smile 2, one of the most highly anticipated sequels of the entire year, and I'm gonna let you in on a secret. I'm not the biggest fan of Smile 1. You got me. I liked it conceptually, with the whole crazy smiling demon, but it was a little too heavily reliant on jump scares like the 2018 Cavs roster with LeBron. The original nearly made my heart explode. So when I came to this, I was very cautious, and I'm happy to say I think it's better than the first for me. I think I've fallen in love with the concept of having these horror movies be in concerts and having these fake pop stars make original songs, because I'm eating that shit up. I got the Sky Riley EP playing in my car on the way home. It makes for such intriguing circumstances we can put our characters through, especially since our main character is a pop star. She has the whole public eye viewing her constantly, and this demon is messing with her head, so she's seeing smiles constantly. It's perfect. Now, if there's one thing that these films entail, you're going to get a stellar lead performance. Naomi Scott, I've been with you since Lemonade Mouth. I knew you were a superstar then.
That's an OG.
Superstar now. No exaggeration, Naomi Scott is brilliant in this film. Like, oh my god. The way we just watch her mentally deteriorate and become literally insane because of this smiling demon, like, I was just in awe. As far as the scares, it's just like its predecessor. Prepare your heart. You're going to hear a lot of like it's going to get that's on me. I should have done that. That's on me. But you get my point. There were times where I was actively praying, please stop doing the same set piece over and over with someone going into a room. It gets really silent, and then you just hear a loud jolt of noise. Like, we could do better, and they do. There are points where there's really cool body horror, Lovecraftian horror, psychological, mental gymnastics going on. Like, it was cool stuff when they did that. And I think that same sentiment applies to the original, where the last 15 minutes is probably the best part of the film, because it is so insane, bonkers stuff. And when it does that stuff in this one, it's just great. Since I did mention psychological horror, I should explain that this film plays a lot more tricks on the main character's mind than the first one. There's times where you have no clue what is real, and it might be a dream sequence or something, and that can be a bit of a cop-out, especially when you get to the second half of this film, but I'll allow it, mainly due to the fact that the ending of this film is insane. Like, I leaned forward in my seat when I watched that on the screen. I was like, okay, I rate it. I should say, I don't know if they use this concept to its fullest potential as far as this pop star that has so many eyes on her, right? And she has this curse, and I felt like we could have gotten even more creative with the scares rather than just going in these dark, empty rooms of her house and getting jump scared. We could have, like, used more social media. She has so many eyes on her. I'm just really anti-jump scare. Like, you're gonna make my heart palpitate. I'm blaming you. It's fun though. I enjoy it. I think if you're a fan of the first, you're probably gonna love this one. And Naomi Scott, OG since Lemonade Mouth, I love you.
This is how people...
Shout out Brandy in the comments down below. She said she watched I think the first one. She said it was really good, but you guys know I don't really watch scary movies like that. But from what I'm hearing, people saying it was a good movie.
Thought our world would be 100 years ago. Okay, firstly, people 100 years ago predicted that we would have roofs over our cities to help protect us from weather. And talking about weather, they also thought that we would have weather control machines that would push the storm clouds away. This isn't a bad idea, but wouldn't the storm clouds just go into another city? Next, this is bizarre. People really thought we would be fishing from the other way around. Now, this would be pretty cool. By 2021, people predicted that we would have space elevators that would make space travel cheap and easy. Moving on, instead of car taxis, people 100 years ago thought we would have flying taxis that would help us get to our destinations. If that wasn't wild enough, they thought we would be walking on water with help from our own individual air balloons. Finally, people thought in today's time that we would be able to transport almost whole cities just by using trains.
I mean, there was some of the stuff, but some of the stuff they was nailing.
This is a true horrifying story.
Was that it?
The birth of Satan, Iblis. In other sacred texts, he's known as Lucifer. Non-Muslims refer to him as a fallen angel, but Muslims believe that he was never an angel. Angels are made from nur. Iblis was made from fire. Therefore, he is a jinn. He is the biggest jinn, the strongest jinn. And God had so much love for Iblis that he lifted him and he was valued amongst the angels. And then Adam was created, the first human being. Iblis was jealous. God ordered all beings to do sajda for Adam. Out of all beings, Iblis was the only one that refused. And he said, I was made from fire. This being was made from dirt. I will prove to you that Bani Adam is not the righteous being. Adam, Eve, Iblis, and the angels all lived in paradise. Everyone was banned to eat fruit from a specific tree. Iblis manipulated Adam and Eve and they ate from that tree. They had to face consequences, so they were all kicked out of heaven. And that is why people called Iblis a fallen angel. He was never an angel. Iblis asked God if he can have an eternal life, so he can prove that humans are sinners. And that's his task. This is what he lives by. This is the birth of Satan. He gathered the shaitans, and now he has an army. He is the leader of all demons, and he will be the only being on earth that dies last. Iblis today sits on a throne, Nobody knows where he's located. However, in an authentic hadith sahih, the Prophet said that his throne is on water. So we don't know where, but we do know that he's somewhere far in the ocean. There's a short story of a French Arab woman that was possessed by a very powerful jinn for many years. The toughest sheikhs carried exorcisms to treat this woman. But before they kicked the demon out, the sheikhs wanted to ask a few questions. They asked the jinn, "Where is Iblis located?" Without a hesitation, the jinn responds, "We visit Iblis in the waters of the Bermuda Triangle." Some scientists have said, but still did not prove, that the Bermuda Triangle has a magnetic field that caused all these ships and planes to disappear. Now that's just a theory. Now legitimately speaking, a demon has spoken, and he exposed the location of where his leader possibly stays. But could it be Iblis? It is far beyond a question mark. It is in fact a section in the ocean that will kill you if entered.
Stay away from the Bermuda Triangle, man. I remember Mr. Beast did a video surviving there. I don't know how the heck he did that. Brave soul. Dressing up as a clown? Pennywise? What the fuck? I think a little too accurate, bro. Man, you can't walk. Get somebody to have a heart attack, bro.
Scene and the entire treatment, within the first couple of hours, you will die. There is nothing they can do for you. And dying by rabies may be quick, but it is not a fun process. As your brain is slowly consumed by liquid virus, it starts to rip apart each individual part of your brain, causing terrifying symptoms, like being afraid of water to the point of extreme dehydration and vomiting and nausea, to making you extremely paranoid and aggressive as it destroys your amygdala. It's safe to say it is one of the worst ways to go, and number one on my list of irrational fears.
These are scary things hidden in your favorite Disney movies, part 4. First up, we have Tangled. In case you missed it, basically Pinocchio is found up in the rafters and it looks like he's not moving or nothing. Disney, please explain. Next up, we have the movie Moana. So if you look closely, you can see a carrot and a wooden hand. So does this mean that Olaf unfortunately melted?
Damn, I didn't even notice that. So you travel down that road, bro? I don't know. I think I'm about to have somebody with me, man. I don't know if I can do that by myself. Too many things be happening in those freaking roads, bro. Especially those dark roads at night when you can't see nothing. It's just pitch black darkness. I don't know. I don't know what that was. Got some quantum computers, man, that they hiding.
Rapunzel is Cinderella's stepmom theory. So we all know that Rapunzel had 2 kids. But when you look up her kids' names, they go by Anastasia and Drizella. Who are they, you may ask? Well, they are the evil stepsisters in Cinderella. And yes, this Cinderella's evil stepsisters are Anastasia and Drizella. So if these 2 are Cinderella's stepsisters and this is a stepmom, then that would make Rapunzel the evil stepmom. So that would mean Rapunzel learned her evil ways from her.
Say it's a dinosaur corpse that was found deep in the Himalayas near a remote ravine. Others say it's a dragon's body that was discovered on an island off the coast of Spain. When the footage first surfaced, it spearheaded a debate about whether dragons actually exist in remote areas of the world. True believers hailed the footage as groundbreaking evidence that would surely rewrite the history books.
I'm gonna have to call Cap on that.
This is why you never want to get lost in the woods. This story starts off with a birdwatcher named Kumi stumbling upon an injured hiker named Moriguchi. After getting taken to the hospital staff is shocked to learn that Moriguchi survived on the forest floor for a month straight with only the snacks in his backpack. It seems like a miracle, but this is just a facade to hide the actual truth. Kumi decides to stay in the hospital with Moriguchi for his first night until he's woken up in the middle of the night by a gulping sound. On top of Moriguchi is a woman spitting something into his mouth. The woman gives Kumi a smile and walks out of the room like nothing happened. Moriguchi is forced to tell Kumi the truth, and that's the fact that after being injured for a couple days, suddenly a woman appeared before him. This woman would feed him raw flesh when he was hungry, and blood when he got thirsty. And being an injured and starving hiker in the woods, this was his only chance for survival. Kumi tries to catch the woman before she leaves the hospital, but she transforms into a bird and flies away. Moriguchi eventually heals and goes on his merry way until a couple years later when his body is found. And only a few days before his death, the raw flesh that he used to be fed was DNA tested, and the DNA was a match to Moriguchi himself. It's revealed that before his death, Moriguchi was being held captive by the bird for a month, but instead of feeding him, it kept ripping flesh off of his body. It turns out the bird was feeding past Moriguchi his future self to keep him alive, which I guess is the circle of life.
It's an eerie story, bro. That looked like a manga of some sorts. And he was like stuck in a time loop from his past and present self, keeping him alive. Plot twist.
This church is covered in skulls and bones. It's San Bernardino alle Ossa. But there are many myths and legends as to why there are so many hundreds of bones stacked over here. We have to go back to 1145, where there used to be a ospedale, a hospital, right next door, run by the Catholic Church, and they had a cemetery in order to bury their dead, but they started running out of space. So they had to build an ossuary, a small chamber where they would start to stack the bones. And amidst all the plagues and the disease and devastation, even that ran out of space. So they built a new church in 1210, with an even bigger ossuary. The church had terrible luck because it collapsed in the 1600s, taking down the ossuary and all the bones with it. 1695, they decided to rebuild the church and hired architect Carlo Giuseppe Merlo, and he designed this beautiful oculus. But the most important part is the ossuary. And this is the most creepiest, most interesting section of this complex. Let's go inside. We're walking in the same steps as King John V of Portugal in 1785. When he stumbled upon this room, he was in such awe. They actually built a similar structure nearby Lisbon. And now behold the room of skulls and bones neatly stacked with each other and made into interesting decorations, such as the cross right up here. Now there's a few myths and legends as to whose skulls and bones these are. The most common one is that they are the victims of the Black Death that ravaged Europe and decimated the population by nearly a third. Another theory is that these bones are actually belonging to the soldiers of St. Ambrose who fought against the heretics, but also were killed in battle. Lastly, that these are the severed heads of men who were criminals, thieves, murderers, and people who did very heinous crimes. There might be some truth to these myths and legends, but mostly these were people who died at the nearby hospital, and the people who took care of them, the friars, the monks, and the priests. This is nothing new in Europe. Lots of orders in the Catholic faith actually stack skulls and bones in these fashions, like the Capuchin monks in Rome and many, many others. Would you walk into this room, especially at night? Do let me know. I think it must have a special magic seeing this at candlelight. And if we look above, we see frescoes painted by Sebastiano Ricci, and they're so beautiful. They have this 3D effect to them. Our relationship with death is very different from people in the Middle Ages. They would come over here and feel comforted by these bones. But nowadays we feel afraid, we feel creeped out. Back then, death was a daily reality. You would see disease and war on a daily basis, and they would be very obvious, unlike today. How do you feel about death? Let me know in the comments. Stay curious, my friends.
See, could you guys walk in that room? all those moons just stacked up like that and pile up everywhere. I don't know if I could do it. Won't be visiting that place.
Cursed TikTok accounts that you should never watch, number 25. Coming in at number 25, we have the account user 5282. This TikTok account has a video of a demon that has over 1 million views, and it said if you watch the video, the demon will appear in your nightmares.
Oh my god.
So this is a thing that I saw and I have to tell you about it. What that deer had is something known as deer warts. The disease began a couple decades ago whenever deer began to drink water that came as runoff off of farmers' fields. What would happen is farmers would put pesticides over their crops, rain comes down, washes it into a gully, the deer drink it and get deer warts. There's a whole backstory about the pesticide companies lobbying with the government to not get into trouble, but we won't get into that right now. Deer with the disease develop these tumors all over their body that is super contagious, which is why whenever deer are found with it, they are put down. However, the deer is perfectly safe to humans and the meat is even able to be eaten, although I would advise against it. Not for any health reason, just because it's gross. However, combine a deer wart outbreak with a chronic wasting disease outbreak, which is a prion that makes deer go crazy, and we essentially get clicker Last of Us zombie deer. So thanks FDA.
We got clickers, bro, in the big 2025. Was that expecting that bad? Wow. That's even hard to wrap my head around. But obviously, they're not real clickers, but the way they look, you can't tell me, man, if you put a picture up of that deer with that disease in the clicker, that they won't look, that they don't look alike.
ABC News messed up big time, and this mistake is honestly just mind-blowing. And I honestly just feel sorry for anyone who's going to scroll past this video. So ABC News probably made one of the biggest mistakes of news history, and I honestly believe this wasn't even a mistake. I believe they did this on purpose. Just watch the video.
During an arrest in Brisbane last year.
Like ABC News, there's no coming back from this. They literally cut to a whole satanic ritual on live television. Oh yeah, and that's another thing, this wasn't even live. This whole entire news broadcast was literally pre-recorded. That's the reason I think this wasn't even a mistake to begin with. They had to have done this on purpose. And if you watch the video back, when they cut back to the news broadcaster, she literally acts like nothing happened. So they had to have edited this in since it was pre-recorded. I don't know if this is some secret subliminal message or what. You know what? That's what it has to be. The news does be on that type of time. Hey, but make sure to follow me, below this video, like, comment, and share with as many people as possible so we can cancel ABC News.
Seekers, that's it for this video for you guys today. If you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video, comment down below, hit that post notification bell. You guys are gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.
Urban legends that actually turned out to be true. In the 1970s in Long Beach, California, there was an amusement park called the Pike Amusement, and inside this park was this creepy little fun house called Life in the Dark.
Okay.
Inside of Life in the Dark were a bunch of mannequins, and this urban legend started circulating around that all of them were fake except one. There was just something about this mannequin that turned people away. They said he was a little too human, and they even said that the area around it was just stanky. So flashing forward to a few years later, a TV crew comes in to film The $6 Million Man, and they decide to use Laugh in the Dark as one of their sets. So the director's trying to get the perfect shot, and this one mannequin that's been in question is in the shot, but he's just not liking how it's looking with it in it. So he asked one of the crew members to move it. So this crew member goes over, and when he tries to move the mannequin, its arm falls off. Inside is human bone. It's actually a mummified body. The body belonged to Elmer McCurdy, who was dubbed the bandit who wouldn't give up. He was an outlaw who was robbing a train in Oklahoma in 1911 when he was taken out by the police. His body was on display at an Oklahoma funeral home, but ownership changed and he got shifted around and around and around until he finally ended up at the Pike Amusement, and everyone thought he was fake until he was finally positively ID'd in 1976.
This is why you
That's
should never
insane.
read someone else's diary.
thing. Once there was a girl named Samantha who took her friends to her dad's lake house because her dad grew up in the area and actually named the lake after her, Lake Samantha. But as soon as her friends arrived, they noticed something strange. There was a doll hanging on every door in all the houses in town. Samantha explained it's because of a local urban legend. Years ago, a man escaped from an insane asylum nearby, unalived his entire family, then disappeared. Since then, people would go missing around the same time every year, so the dolls were used for protection. But after spending a day by the lake, Samantha and her friends found an old diary, half buried in the dirt near an abandoned house. They opened it up and saw multiple entries dating back to the 80s, but the most terrifying part was the last entry dated August 13, 2010. And it said, "I'm so proud of my daughter. She doesn't hear the voices and she has a lot of friends. Sometimes I take her to these woods. I even named the lake after her." That's when they all heard the sound of twigs snapping behind them, and when they turned around, they saw Samantha's father, saying, "You weren't supposed to find that. Follow for more."
Records that will never be broken again. Number 1, the woman with the most children. Back in the 1800s, a Russian woman named Vasiliev gave birth to 69 total children.
God
she
damn.
had 16 pairs of twins, 7 triplets, and 4 quadruplets. And no one has come close to matching that number since. Number 2, the most nuclear explosions ever survived. This is Tsutomu Namaguchi. He has survived 2 different nuclear explosions. Tsutomu was on a business trip when the first nuclear bomb was dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. After miraculously surviving that explosion, he returned to his hometown of Nagasaki just in time to witness the second atomic bombing. But again, he miraculously survived and lived till the age of 93.
Do you know how lucky you have to be to survive 2 of those events in history? Yeah, something on his side. Because he survived 2 of them. That's insane. And those women who held those kids, I don't think that record's probably ever going to be broken. 69? What the hell?
Are the creepiest YouTube channels to ever exist.
Talk about it.
Part 1. Number 1, Meat Sleep. Meat Sleep began posting in 2015 and has since then stopped posting, but that still doesn't change the fact that its horrifying videos and very disturbing history linked to the channel gives it a spot on this list. Meat Sleep then removed the several videos it had on the channel even after garnering over 16,000 subscribers, but that still doesn't change the fact that some people saw some very terrible things. Most of the channel consisted of videos that seemed to be of people being stalked, but there was one video in particular that people pointed out that really just got under their skin. There was one video on the channel titled Meat Pig, which in cannibals' terms is actually human meat. Many people believe that the creator behind these videos is secretly a murderer and a cannibal as well. I assume the creator of this channel is still unknown, but who knows, they may be in jail.
And they was posting on YouTube and getting away with it? That was evidence right there. Man. Meat Sleep. First time hearing about that, man. Top in with us, you're gonna learn. Just edit.
This
All them
teenager
out.
killed his mom over a bad grade. This is 15-year-old Gregory Ramos. And on November 2nd, 2018, Gregory Ramos got into a fight with his mother, Gail Clevenger. The fight started over his bad school grades, which resulted in him strangling his own mother to death. Gregory then proceeded to call 2 of his friends to help him bury her body and stage a robbery at his house. Gregory buried her body under a church fire pit and was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Now, what I'm about to show you is Gregory explaining exactly how he committed the murder, and it's absolutely disturbing, because keep in mind, this was his own mother.
Whatever. Alright, I'll tell you what happened. Alright, so I got home, I got an argument with my mom, she slapped me across the face, she began to hit me, she started beating me, I didn't like it, so I strangled her to death. Alright? I put her in a wheelbarrow, I put her in my car, I took the car, I had a mental breakdown where I almost committed suicide 3 times, I drove around Daytona, I dropped the wheelbarrow in some random ass location, and I drove back to the church. I began to dig a hole. I dig a hole right under the fucking fire pit. I dug a pretty deep hole. Pretty deep. I think that's what put about it in.
No remorse.
All this time, my mom was decomposing body. I dragged it from my car to the fire pit. In which case, I tried to cut the wedding ring off her finger because I wanted to pawn it, but I couldn't, because I didn't have a knife strong enough to cut bones. Oh body in there. Fill back in. Made it look all nice and natural. Dumped my clothes. And then I went home.
I'm being serious. If you
Do
ever
not
see
care.
this at the beach, do not touch it. And if it ever latches onto you like this, get help immediately. Before you do anything else, favorite this video because this could actually save your life one day.
What
Now,
is
at
that?
first glance, like me, you would think this is an alien creature from the deepest corners of hell. Whereas in fact, this is actually a detached octopus limb. Now, yes, if an octopus's arm becomes disconnected from its body, it does have the ability to live on for a short period of time by itself, explaining why it's able to move like a creature straight out of an alien movie. This, of course, is absolutely horrifying and a brand new conversation to bring up with your therapist if you saw this going about its business on the beach. Now, the suction power of this single arm would be incredibly difficult to remove on your own, because if you didn't know, one suction cup from an octopus can hold up to 35 pounds. And I am talking Great British. And on top of that, hurts. Like, really badly. Now, this most likely wouldn't make this gentleman a Twitter hashtag. However, I wouldn't like to imagine if this was stuck on a more sensitive part of the body. Like the neck. So here's the best case scenario. You see it, you avoid it, you survive. I've said this to literally anyone you know because they might need this video one day.
In 2010.
That's crazy, bro. I didn't even know freaking an octopus, I guess arm or leg had that much freaking suction power, bro. So if you see it, follow his advice, turn away, bro. Don't try to attach that onto your body, man. We learned it.
And an avid caver named Jeff decided to go to Madagascar to explore a natural cave shaft he had discovered years earlier. He arrived in country. Jeff enters the cave when he notices something out of the corner of his eye, and he sees thousands of black widow spiders trying to escape the light. As much as Jeff wanted to stop right there and go right back up to the surface, he couldn't. He needed technical gear, and his technical gear was packed in his backpack, so he would have to descend to the bottom, then take his pack off, get the gear out, and go back up. He began his slow, awful descent into this cave filled with spiders. If he bumped into the wall, he'd hear them scatter all over the walls, and then he saw them climbing on his sleeve, he saw them on the rope. He finally gets to the bottom, and he opens it up. Spiders crawl out of his bag, carefully reaches in and pulls out his technical gear, throws it up, and he begins making his way back up. Once he gets to the surface, the first thing he does is he strips all of his clothing off to get all the spiders off of his clothing. Luckily, he doesn't get bent, and he takes his notebook out, and he scratches off the title he had given this cave from the last time he was here, which was the Crooked Tube. He scratches that out, and on top of it, he writes, "The entrance to hell."
Things we all
Whoa.
believed as kids. For some reason, I thought that if I swallowed watermelon seeds, an entire tree would grow inside of me. Now at night, if you didn't start running to your room as soon as you turned off the lights, the monster that was somehow chasing you would catch you and eat you. A blanket could literally protect us from anything, and I would still argue that my blanket is a modern day shield. My parents used to tell me if I crossed my eyes for long enough, my eyes would stay stuck that way forever.
Yep, those were like myths as the kids.
Things you
Yeah,
can't
debunked.
unsee. The KFC logo looks like Colonel Sanders has a tiny body. Now I can never unsee it. Have you ever noticed that the letter G is simply a spinning arrow? Those drowning signs at the beach look very similar to LOL. There's nothing funny about drowning. The Dodge Viper logo looks like Daffy Duck upside down. Ever noticed how water fountain drains look like a Wi-Fi logo? This sign for a German school looks a bit suspicious. Did you know there's a bear hidden inside the Toblerone logo? Did you ever notice Nelson from The Simpsons is simply a young Barney? And in the 7-Eleven logo, only the N is in lowercase. The Hunger Games Mockingjay logo looks very similar to Johnny Bravo. And I bet you never realized the Big Bang Theory's Dexter's Laboratory grown up. Also, the collar on the Wendy's girl says Mom. Homer Simpson has MG sneaked onto him. These are the initials of Matt Groening, The Simpsons creator.
I never realized.
And finally, the Adidas logo kind of looks like a sinking ship.
Damn, all these hidden logos and stuff, bro. They were right in front of our eyes and we never even knew. It goes to make you think, man. What other logos have hidden messages behind it? The more you know. That's an edit. We're calling them out.
Scary facts that will blow your mind. Part 1. The middle of nowhere is an actual place within New Mexico. The legend goes that an elderly couple lived out there with their dog and witnessed many strange and bizarre things. One night, they reported seeing a strange creature that they they identified as a skinwalker. After reporting this to the police, the family had vanished under strange circumstances. Their dog, however, was left behind. This is the story that Courage the Cowardly Dog was based off of. Like and follow for more.
And all jokes in kids' cartoons you probably didn't notice.
Hey, Judy! Wanna pollinate with a real bug? Oh, lady, come like lava.
So, being a ladybug automatically makes me a girl. Is that it, flyboy? Huh?
Yikes! She's a god!
What would happen
What
if
the
you
heck?
don't have a shower for 60 years? This is the world's dirtiest man, and he was born in 1928 in Iran, and apparently he hasn't taken a shower in 60 years, because he says he's scared of water and he thinks having a shower could kill him. And because he hasn't showered for so long, his immune system has gotten used to his body being this dirty. But over the years, people from other towns have challenged him to have a shower in exchange for money, and he still tells them that he's so scared of it. So they offered him even more money, so he took it. But a few days after taking a shower, he died, because apparently his immune system was not used to him being so clean, which caused his body to go into extreme shock and pain. And before he died, he described the pain as a sharp burning sensation. What do you think caused this?
He really passed away because he took a shower? One of the most bizarre cases we've seen yet, Seekers.
A bad guy.
Bermuda Triangle? Yeah, that's another one. Antarctica. We ain't going to those places, man. That's off the bucket list. There's this guy that's at it. Call him like we see it.
A time traveler just took a lie detector test and passed it. I'm about to share with you all of his predictions for the upcoming future. So quickly make sure to favorite this video so we can come back to it to see if he was right. Let's start off with August of 2028, where aliens are meant to land here on Earth.
Yes, it is true that aliens did land on Earth in August 2028.
In fact, he states that we already know about the existence of aliens before this, as it becomes public knowledge. What? Next up, in the year 2030, the world will be governed under one law. This actually isn't a bad one. All of Earth's countries converge into one super nation.
In 2030, all of the world's countries converge into one super nation.
Next up, he goes on to say he has a chip inside of him. In fact, all humans from 2045 have this. And it has a name. Watch this.
I do have an implanted chip in my hand known as the One.
He claims it'll be rolled out to the public in 2029. It's a good thing no one's working on this, right? But there's even more predictions, and as I said, he was on a lie detector machine, in which every single answer came out true. In fact, even the lie detector machine guy said that he answered very quickly and very confidently. So it leads me to ask you this, is it all real? Now do me a favor, send this to literally anyone you know, because your friends need to see this.
Before and after animals growing up. This is what a baby white tiger looks like. They're born blind and only weigh 2 to 3 pounds, but they soon turn into this. Adult white tigers are ferocious and dangerous. They have a bite force of 1050 psi. To put that in perspective, a human's bite force is 162.
Damn.
They also grow razor-sharp teeth. This is what a baby Alaskan Malamute looks like. They're born with blue eyes and are tiny, fluffy, and cute. But when they grow up, they look like this. They become powerful and fierce, and their blue eyes change to brown, amber, or hazel. This is what a baby salamander looks like. They are tiny at only 2.5 centimeters in length, but when they grow older, they turn massive. Their skin turns thick and scaly. They also live for a very long time, sometimes 80 years or more. This is what a baby crocodile looks like. They're very cute and tiny at only 20 centimeters, but they're not so cute when they grow up. They become one of the most aggressive animals known to man, and can weigh a mind-blowing 2,200 pounds. This is what a baby pit bull looks like. They're very cute with oversized eyes and ears. But when they get older, they become very muscular.
Damn.
If not raised well, these can be very dangerous. which is why pit bulls are banned in over 10 countries.
What you're about to see is intense. What you just saw is the United States Coast Guard raiding a high-speed submarine in the Eastern Pacific Ocean moving more than 17,000 pounds of cocaine. On June 18th, 2019, a Coast Guard surveillance aircraft tracked and intercepted the drug-filled narco sub hundreds of miles off the Colombian-Ecuadorian coastline. The video shows a member of the Coast Guard riding on top of the speeding submarine.
Oh, what the hell?
He then starts pounding on the hatch and demanding it to come to a stop. 3 other Coast Guard members then jump ship and board the 40-foot-long submarine. The video then continues, and you see the presumed trafficker emerging from the submarine hatch with his hands up, surrender. And in total, 5 alleged smugglers were seized on board the vessel and were handed over for prosecution by the United States Drug Enforcement Administration.
Are these your friends, the police?
Now, just watch the full encounter unfold. It's honestly something straight out of a video game.
Okay. Did he have to like jump onto the sub?
That's gonna be hard to get on.
Is he speaking like another language too? Oh yeah, he definitely jumped. This is something like out of a movie scene. Whew.
These criminals survive long enough to have that justice served.
That was like out of a movie scene. Serious. Where's the? Where's another edit? Stay away from those dolls.
Country, they decided that these are the top 21 most hated foods in the world. Coming in at number 21 is Brussels sprouts. According to science, we're born to innately reject bitter foods. I couldn't agree more. At number 20 is cantaloupe. I don't agree with this at all. I love cantaloupe. Do I like it as much as watermelon, dragon fruit? No, but it definitely should not be on this list. At number 19 is pickles. I personally love pickles, but a lot of people voted them on the list because they're obnoxious shape. Also, people don't like their sour smell and annoying crunch. At number 18 is black licorice. Definitely. Compared to red licorice or other candy, yeah, it needs to be on that list. At number 17, you guessed it, canned tuna. Tuna salad was actually labeled as Atlanta, Georgia's #1 most hated food. At number 16 is candy corn.
Candy corn.
I love it so much, I do not understand that. At number 15 is Spam. I just don't understand the hype behind the canned meat. At number 14 is mayonnaise. I actually have a traumatic childhood experience with mayonnaise, so I would put this at number 1 on my list. At number 13 is ginger, based off of its smell. I actually love ginger, and when I'm sick, I make a hot honey lemon ginger tea. It's the way to go. At number 12 is liver. Do I even need to say more?
Yeah, no.
At number 11 is pineapple pizza. If you're somebody that likes pineapple on your pizza, jail.
Not me.
Just go. Jail. Now for the top 10, bologna. I used to love bologna as a kid, and then I had it like 20,000 times. I haven't had it in like literally 25 years. Number 9 is circus peanuts. Totally disagree with that. I love these things so much. Number 8 is eggplants. Doesn't taste like eggs at all and super bitter. Definitely should be on the list. Number 7 is bitter gourd. I've personally never had it before, but I guess it has good medicinal traits. It was voted as one of the most hated foods in China.
Okay.
Number 6 is the durian fruit. Supposedly it doesn't taste bad, but the smell is absolutely awful. And for our top 5 comes tomatoes.
Tomatoes?
I've tried so hard to like tomatoes, the different textures, I just can't get with it. Number 4 is mushrooms. This one blew me away because I love mushrooms on pizza, by themselves, as a meat substitute, but I guess the rest of the world doesn't think so. Number 3 is cilantro.
Now, there's actually a genetic reason behind this. If you ask a room of 100 people if they like cilantro, 14% of them will say it tastes like soap. At number 2 is olives. A lot of people think they have a very bitter, distinct flavor, and some people say they're an acquired taste. And at number 1 on the list, you guessed it, beets.
Beets?
33% of the world said they hated beets because of their earthy flavor. Let me know in the comments which food is your least favorite and which ones you thought should have been on the list.
I need your guys' list, man. Down below, seekers. Tell me, man, like I said, your most top 10, I guess, hated food or some foods I just can't stand. I really want to see you guys' thoughts down below. That's going to be interesting. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, your true seekers seeking the truth, I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, if you guys can just help me, man, by hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, man, I greatly appreciate the support on you guys joining me on my journey. I do daily uploads, so I greatly appreciate the support, man. Also wanted to question that, answer this comments. He said why you kind of like look straightforward, just because the way my setup is right now. So currently that's why it makes it seems like I'm just looking straight forward, but I'm watching the video at the same time. But if you guys want me to switch it up, I can try to do that for you guys, man. Anything I can do to make the channel better, I'm with it. Out. Peace, YouTube.